but Watergate, you know, when you get into these debates, and I don't like it too much with ministers, because then I end up losing them, and I was like, oh no, I gotta mute. I can't deal. That's it. Sister Virginia does very well.
This is test number
She may,
2.
even if she
May
is here, but
20th.
she does very
Casting
well
out
with
demons
being with
May
these
24th.
debates. I don't do too well.
Sanctification in Christ.
I do
May
that.
Casting out May 20th. This is test number. New
And I
event.
was in the
Stream
other
prefix
thing
August
last
9.
night too,
Public.
so
YouTube.
pretty good.
Switch button. Button. Selected. Button.
On
Go to
Wednesday
test
night,
time
somebody's gonna
website.
come in right
Streaming
now
destiny
until
record.
they start back
Berlin.
Bible study.
Button. GFX main icon. Button.
Oh, Pastor Percy, you know what?
Speech off.
Yes, ma'am.
Probably on mute, but I'm trying to think if I go get me another SD card, a 32 gig for my picture stream, will I still be able to record my study? I don't have unmuted regular tape recorder, but I got this picture stream.
If you change your SD card, you'll lose whatever's on there already. Until you put that old SD card back in there.
Really?
Yeah, it just depends on what you have on there. See, on mine, I have the Bible and some other books and some other things. So if I take that SD card out, I can record other things on it, on the new one.
Right, that's what I'm gonna do. The one I got in there now is by Dr. Vernon McGee.
Yeah.
So, the whole thing on it, which I had asked them for, but they sent it to me anyway.
Yeah. So if you take that SD card out and put a new one in,
Okay.
you'll have to add new
Everybody,
information to it.
afternoon.
Hello, Miss Virginia.
I'm gonna have to try and go on mute. I hope I can do this. If I can't, I'm gonna have to hang up.
All right. Well, we want to welcome everybody to Bible Talk. Glad you're here. We want to be in prayer for everybody on the line. Don't know what's going on in your neck of the woods, but we got thunder. Don't know if you heard it or not, but it's getting closer. I did lose my internet earlier, so I didn't have any connections with my devices. So I had to start all over on Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. By the way, there is another live stream app that has come out called New Media TV. And you might like that one. NU is spelled new. That's how new is spelled on this app. New Media TV. It's a brand new app and it's going pretty strong. Right now there are quite a few people on it. Right now, though, we want to get into our study. We've been studying this high-powered book of Daniel. You know, we have been asking a lot of questions as of late in this country, and I'm sure the same questions are being asked around the world. And these questions have been asked for a long time. And I remember back in the 60s and 70s, one of my favorite R&B singers asked a question. What's going on? Why all of the wars? Why all of the fighting? Why are all these rapes going on? Why do we have all these different lifestyles? Why all the murders? Why do we have such a bad drug problem? Why there are no fathers in the home? His song was a hit for several years. What's going on? And to this day, no one seems to have any answers. We're still asking the same question. What's going on? And Daniel asked the same question in this chapter, chapter 7. But God gave him an answer to the question. And he gives us the answer to the question also. What Marvin Gaye saw back in the 60s and the 70s was no solution in his singing. What we see today in the year 2018 with no seemingly viable solution in sight. God had made known to us the problem. And God had made known to us the solution to the problem. But man's wisdom, man in his own reasoning cannot understand the problem, neither can he understand the solution. But the problem has been with us since the beginning of time. We talk about brother against brother, father against son, mother against daughter. Even when God would confront man with his sin, with his evil, man still could not understand and see God and change on his own. He had become a slave to sin. He had become a slave to evil. His nature was evil. So he was a slave to his nature. So when God came and went to Cain, before he slew his brother Abel, God went to him and said, Cain, sin is crouching at your door and is about to ambush you. But you must overcome it. And Cain looked God in the face and paid him no attention. And murdered his brother. And when God came back after he had murdered his brother and buried him, the Lord asked him a question. Where's your brother Abel? He looked at God and said, am I my brother's keeper? And that's what we say today. When we sell drugs to our brothers and sisters, when we get our sisters pregnant with multiple babies, and there's no dad in the home, when we pack the schools with children on mind medication, mind-altering drugs, that's what we say. Am I my brother's keeper? Instead of daddy coming home with the mama in marriage, they go out and impregnate another sister and have another baby who have no daddy in the home. I was so blessed as a child during my formative years. My mama and daddy, I don't think had such a good marriage. But they did marry before having children. And when mama had all 5 of us, daddy was still in the home. And that was such a great plus for us. They raised us together. And though they were not Bible scholars, they brought us up in the fear and admonition of the Lord. They brought us up to respect them. I respected my mama. I respected my daddy. Therefore, when I went to the schoolhouse, I respected the teachers and the principal. And when I went out into the public, around the police, I respected the police. And even as a young man in the Marine Corps, I was harassed by the police. But I knew how to respect them before they shot me. I was coming from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I was driving through a small town in South Carolina. This was around 1971. And I was not driving my car. I was driving a friend of mine's car, and he was laying down in the back seat sleeping. This was about 2 in the morning. And all of a sudden, the blue lights came on and pulled me over. And the officer said to me, "Boy, where are you going through my town?" I said, "I'm going to Mississippi, going home." He said, "Whose car is this?" That's just the man in the back seat. And by the time I said that, the man in the back seat rolled up. And he was a Caucasian friend of mine, another Marine. And when he saw that man wrapped up in the back seat, he said, "Move on, boy, and you watch how you drive through my town." But because I was cognizant enough to understand that I could get hurt, I gave him full respect, even though he didn't respect me. So I moved on, set free for that time period, because I say set free for that time period because that was not the last time I was harassed by police. So I know what's going on today. But if we're not raising our children to respect mama and daddy, and they don't, we think it's pretty, we think it's funny when a little child talks back to his mother. We think it's funny when a little child slaps his mother. A little 1-year-old slapping his mother, and that's funny to people. My mama would have cut my hand off. And that's what Jesus said we should do. If your right eye offends you, pluck it out. If your right hand offends you, cut it off. If your right foot causes you to sin, cut it off. Because it's better to enter into life with no eye, no hand, and no feet than to go into hell with everything. And that's the way we're raising our children. We're raising our children to go into hell with everything. Because we give them everything. And they expect everything. And when they can't get everything, they get violent. And that was Cain's problem. He couldn't get what he wanted. He wanted God to honor his sacrifice. A sacrifice that God had not prescribed. God wanted a blood sacrifice to atone for the sins of Cain and Abel. But we want to do it. We want to do it our way. We want to do it the human way. We wanted to do it with our own earthly wisdom. I like the way the Apostle Paul talks about that in 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and 2. He said, God has not made himself known or his will known to the wise. Through wisdom, the world has not known God. The world can look God in the face and not know him in their own wisdom. The world can look evil in the face and cannot have a remedy for it in their own wisdom. God chose the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And that's you and me. Case in point. Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, if the rulers of this world had known, they would not have crucified the God of glory, the Lord of glory. They looked Jesus in the face and didn't know he was God. They locked him up, put him on trial,